So, this will be talking as I go and thinking as I go because there's something on my mind, but I'll be frank, I don't actually know what it is that's on my mind. I just know that I'm concerned about something. I'm concerned about the way the world is going, and in particular, I'm thinking about big tech companies which have basically taken over the world and are very much in control of society. And I don't think the world is dealing with big companies, these big tech companies. I don't think it's dealing with them correctly. I think that there is a problem basically in the way we are running society now and in the way we have allowed big tech companies to change the way the world works drastically and in ways that are not necessarily beneficial for the average person on the street. So, as I said, I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I'm just thinking and airing my concerns. I'm thinking I've watched some video recently about the power influence and the market dominance of certain big tech companies. I won't name them necessarily to begin with, but the big famous ones, the big search engine that everyone uses, the hardware manufacturers and the software developers. It is strange how the world seems to be owned, essentially, by just a few companies. And so that means that basically there are a few men in these companies who essentially own the world. They have a great deal of power and influence and control of virtually everything because it does seem as if money talks and huge there is a huge amount of money in the system because people want to live a certain way. And there are a few guys out there who have created systems that we've now become entirely dependent on. And the internet has invaded our lives to a huge extent. And now people are dependent on the internet and the various services on the internet have become fundamental to the way we live our lives. We are completely dependent on so many services. In my own life, I'm thinking of search engine that I use all the time, and as my first go-to thing that I do. I feel as if my life is under control by just a few companies, which means basically there are a few men who are running everything, and I'm completely dependent on this relatively small number of men to do pretty much everything in my life. The way I'm living my life and what's important to me is I'm finding in my life is very much hosted by the internet. So the internet is part of my life now in a way that I never imagined before in years past. But the ability of the internet to host and manage so many services that I've now become dependent on means that I have surrendered my control of my life to these companies, and I am frustrated that I'm not in control of my life as I used to be. I'm very much dependent on so many services, and I'm trying to understand what my life is now. And I realize that I don't actually understand what I'm doing with myself. I'm very confused, and I know that I'm entirely dependent on what just a few men have created in our world. These massive tech companies, absolutely stunning the environment we've created for ourselves. And these men who are geniuses have improved our lives to such a great extent. They have given us control of our lives, access to information, and made things so easy. Things that were previously much more complicated and hard to achieve. They've made things so easy and so sophisticated, so quick, so efficient. It is very surprising what these men have been able to do. And I think there are only a few guys I'm talking about who have made this all possible. So I'm finding that I just don't understand life. I'm confused, and I don't know what to do with myself. So I'm becoming more interested in online communication platforms. In my life previously, I was never really interested in the main systems that people use to communicate, whatever. I stuck with basic email and phone calls, but now I'm increasingly using online systems more frequently and more comprehensively in my life. And I'm realizing that I am becoming dependent, or maybe I already have become dependent on these systems. I feel like I'm hesitating to name companies because I don't want to cause a problem. And this isn't about individual companies anyway, it's about the ecosystem. It's the way we've chosen to live. We have embraced big tech into our lives, and we have decided that we want to live a certain way. And these big tech companies have provided the tools to enable us to live the way we've chosen. And I've never really got into tech companies very much. So I'm finding that out now, and I'm realizing just how useful they are. And I'm enjoying playing with these systems and having them part of my life now. And I realized that for years I've missed these great systems and great control of my data and communication ability. but it's become so much easier, so much more efficient, and I'm very glad to have these systems in my life. But at the same time, I'm aware that I have given up a lot of control of my life, and I have become dependent on these things. So I am now wondering what life is, and is it a big problem that I don't have control of my life anymore? How will I help my children as they grow up in this world with this technology all around and completely infecting their lives? And my children will be developed dependent on these systems.